So, good morning. We are about to begin our session this morning. Maybe before we start, I'll ask Bishop Kariuki to come and open the word of prayer.
Let's ask. Our Father and our God, we thank you for the studies that we have been having here at Tangaza University College. We give you all the glory and honor. Thank you for this, the last day for the summer school. Father in heaven, I pray that, Lord, as we start this day, we start it with you and we close it with you. We thank you for all speakers of today's activities. And Lord, have your way in each one of us. Lord, Father, we pray all this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Good morning once again. So, my name is Father Innocent Makanya, the director of the Institute for Interreligious Dialogue and Islamic Studies at Tangaza University College. I would like to welcome you at Tangaza on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, who will be addressing us at 2:30. So becoming, as we are closing the day, to greet us. So you are welcome at Tangaza University College. We have arrived at the end of our 3-week summer school on Islam and Christianity in Dialogue in Africa. Tangaza Annual Summer School on Islam and Christianity in Dialogue in Africa. This is the 3rd edition. We started in 2018, but due to COVID-19, we did not have the summer school in 2020 and 2021. By the grace of God, we were able to do that physically this year. And this program is in partnership with the Institute, International Institute for Islamic Studies from Qom in Iran. And we are happy that we have today with us the founder and the director of the International Institute for Islamic Studies in Qom, Dr. Shumali. So you are welcome, Dr. Shumali, and shortly you are going to address us on the theme of unity of God, unity in God, as a conclusion of this summer school. This year, we have the presence of the representative of Al-Mustafa College in Kampala, Uganda. And we are happy and privileged to have them with us this year. We have also the representative of Al-Mustafa in Kigali, Rwanda. We have also the representative of the Benedictine monks in Tanzania, and also the students of Al-Mustafa University, Kenyan students who are studying in the city of Qom, doing Islamic studies. We have also our brothers from the Protestant church and churches who are also with us today. So the encounter is not only interreligious, but it's also ecumenical. It's also ecumenical. And our aim is to come together and share what we have in common, but also celebrate our differences. And I think it's very important to stress that we are unique as individuals. We are unique in our different religious traditions, but we can celebrate together our differences. And that is the key of the summer school, where for 3 weeks, we come from all over, come together, not only to acquire knowledge of the tradition of the other, but at the same time to deepen our own religious convictions. Because as we open to the other, we also deepen our own religious convictions. As I said at the beginning of the summer school, if you are not rooted in your own religious convictions and faith, you can't enter into a meaningful peaceful dialogue with the other. Because you will be looking at the other always with suspicion. What does he want? What is hidden behind? So it's very important to be rooted in one's own tradition, religion tradition. Because once you are rooted, then there is no fear of the other. You are standing on a solid ground, and you are not fearing that the other is going to convert me to go to the other side. And I think this is the experience that you have had for the last 3 weeks. So to crown this, then we are going to have a public lecture, but by Dr. Shomali on the unity of God, unity in God. And we're going to show us where is the future, where are we going? So it is my pleasure and honor to invite Dr. Shomali to start with his presentation.
Can I have this? Can I have this? I mean, the angle is okay because we changed the. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, I am very delighted to be here again at Tangaza University and with you. The first time I came here was 2017. We had 2 half-day programs. We had a 2 half-day program at the University of Tangaza on the side of 8th round of Catholic Shia dialogue, which we had with the standing for monastic religious dialogue. And thanks to God, from the very first encounter we had with our brothers and brothers worshiping, and in particular Father Innocence, we felt very good level of mutual understanding, love, and brotherhood. And it was decided that we keep having conferences on unity of God and unity of God, and have courses. And thanks to God, leadership of Father Innocent and his team. Apart from COVID, the period, every year we have this course. So this is the third course that for 3 weeks, some Muslim, some Christian work together as teachers and as students. And everything is done in a real sense of unity. And also, I came again in 2019 for the opening of IRDIS, which is the Center for Interreligious Dialogue at this university. So this is the third time, and I'm very happy to be here. And as Father Innocent mentioned, this year the course had some extra advantages. Diversity was more, and we have more participants in the course. We have people from international representatives from Iran. We have people, graduates and teachers of Al-Mustafa College in Uganda, and we have a wide range of our Christian brothers and sisters, and some locals also. So we thank God for everything that has happened, and we ask Him to keep guiding us in every step that we take. Maybe I should start with saying a little bit about the way I was involved in interreligious dialogue and Christian-Muslim relations in particular, and some of the projects that we have had, so that what I would say later would be I would say later would be maybe better understood when you know the context of and the background. I was born in Tehran, in the capital of Iran, and when I was 17, I had deep search for God in my heart, and I told my parents I have to go to seminary in Qom. I was in Tehran in a special school as a national school for talented students, and they worked with them for all the years in secondary and high school. And normally everyone become engineer, doctor, or scientist. But a friend of mine and I, we were two people who said we want to go for seminary studies. And even I said to my father, I cannot wait 1 more year, to finish my high school. So I want to go sooner, So instead of finishing my high school in Tehran, I went to Qom, and then later just came to take exams at the end of the year. So I finished my high school later. So from age of 17, I have been trying to convince myself about God, about faith, and about everything that I do. I try to understand why, I should do this thing, why I should believe. And I had therefore interest in philosophy and in ethics and spirituality. And this has always continued. Later, after some years, when I reached the advanced level of studies in Qom, parallel to that, I started studying Western philosophy at Tehran University. I got my BA and MA in Western philosophy at Tehran University. Then I got my PhD in moral philosophy in Manchester. I went back to Qom and was teaching and was head of the Department of Religion at Imam Khomeini Institute. So always try to think, but also to be feeling what I believe in my heart and saying what I believe. So I try to have, I'm not saying I was successful, but I tried to have, this harmony between mind and heart. With this kind of background of the study, then when we were in Manchester for my PhD, so I was there from end of 96 to 2001 for my PhD, and then I did 1 year postdoc. We thought with my wife, who is also a graduate of Centrality, we should look for some Christians that we can establish friendship with them. In Iran, we don't have many Christians because Christian population is very low in Iran, and they are also in some places, not everywhere. For example, in Qom, we don't have any Christians, apart from some who come for a study, maybe. And that's very also little number. So now that we are in UK, it's very good. We use this chance to know more about Christianity as lived and practiced. We had studied texts, we had courses on other religions, but we wanted to see by our own eyes. And we had difficulty first, to find out people, because you cannot knock every door and say, do you want to have dialogue? You have to have some relation, And especially in late 90s, interfaith and interreligious dialogue forums were not that popular and not very organized. So finally what we did, we asked a friend of my wife who was in Italy and was talking about very good Christians who are focolare, and today I'm happy that some of my focolare brothers and sisters are here. So we said, can you put us in touch with them in UK? And then one of them, Marita from Liverpool, visited us in Manchester. And we talked, and then we heard that there is a day meeting organized by them at the University of Hope in Liverpool, which is a Christian university. And it was very interesting for us. This was the first time we were surrounded by lots of Christian faithful people, and they were talking about God, about love, about unity, something that you don't hear it that much in a secular society. Yeah. So for us as believers who had come from a religious country, it was a way to refresh ourselves with love for God coming from other believers. I remember I was sitting next to a priest. This is around maybe 97, 98, 1997. I was sitting next to a priest, Father Jonathan. He was also a Benedictine. So he's a Benedictine priest, and he is also familiar and part of the Focolare. This is the first time in my life I am sitting next to a priest, 97, 98. So we had very good, talk and discussion. And I told Father Jonathan, I come from a seminary background, and I would love to know more about Christian seminaries. And now, when I reflect back, I am grateful to God that I didn't feel I come from a Muslim seminary and I hate Christian seminaries. I don't want to get even closer to them. No, that was not the way I was thinking. I said, I come from a Muslim seminary and I want to visit a Christian seminary. Because you can have two responses. When you don't know something, you can say, okay, I want to know more. And you can say, there is a question mark here. There's a worry here. There's a fear here. Many times, not knowing leads to enmity. Our first Imam says, "An-nas a'da'u ma jahil." People are hostile toward what they don't know. Yeah. If in your neighborhood there's a family, they never talk to anyone and you don't know what they do. Yeah, they don't connect. First you become suspicious and then you may become enemies. So my approach was different. I said, I want to know. So he suggested we can visit Ampleforth Abbey. Ampleforth Abbey is the largest abbey in the UK. Belongs to Benedictines. And he said it is not a seminary, but it's a place for formation of the monks. And then we went together, we planned, we went together, and we slept overnight. And I say this because when I again reflect back, because you should always think ahead and also reflect back. So when I reflect back, I see when I'm sitting next to Father Jonathan, I don't know what is coming out of this discussion. Never underestimate, these informal, gatherings. When 2017 we came here and we talked to Father Innocent, I never thought that again and again I'm going to come here. We had hope, but many times our hopes are not materialized. So when we listen to God and try to carefully go step by step, then things become, by passage of time, more clearer. So we went to Ampleforth now. First time sitting next to the priest, now first time being in a monastery. And sleeping overnight in a monastery. But I felt so tranquil when I attended the prayers. And I love, the Gregorian chant, and I very much enjoyed the atmosphere. And I very much enjoyed that in a secular society, there are people who devoted themselves to God. They are not Muslim, but they have devoted themselves to God. I should see the value. I should not say either my way or no way. No. This is the way they have connected to God, and I see the value, and I can sense. You should be able to sense in people their genuineness. And I could see this is genuine. So, the late abbot of monastery at that time was Abbot Timothy Wright. And we became later very good friends. in part of the program, Lo Piano. Lo Piano is a place which is like a small town, and this belongs to the Focolare movement, and they try to live by the spirituality of unity. All people who are there and all who go for formation, for school of Zen, they try to practice this spirituality. These more than 300 people who went there for one day visit, but when I had heard about it, I said, we want to stay more. So we stayed 2-3 days in Lo Piano. And I found that this was what from my childhood I was dreaming. From my childhood, I was always thinking of a place that all of them are good people and all of them are, lovers of God. So our exploration reached Italy, from UK to Italy, and then expanded from Canada and US up to Philippines. I have always tried to visit my Shia community and my Focolare community and my Christian brothers and sisters as well. Sometimes for a few days, sometimes just for maybe half an hour, 1 hour, whatever was possible, we tried to grow this friendship. One of the things that emerged, so when this started, it's like a tree, then lots of branches came. So for example, with the Benedictines, we started something, with Focolare something, with the Mennonite Christians something, with Anglican something. So when I was going back to Iran in 2001, I invited one of the monks to visit us in Qom. One of the monks that was talking to me and we had good discussions, he had PhD in theology. I said, we will be very happy if you visit us in Qom. And this is the first time I'm inviting Christians to Qom. Not that they were not invited, it's the first time I was invited. So he said I should take permission from the abbots. He went to the abbot, and abbot, the late Abbot Timothy said, it's okay, but I also want to come. So both of them in 2002 visited us in Qom. We organized lectures for them and put posters in the city. Everyone is welcome. We have 2 Christian guests, and you are welcome to come. They had very good sessions. Later, Abbot Timothy wrote in Tablet. You may know Tablet, it's a Catholic English, journal. So he said, we felt that we are in a big monastery. We saw on the street billboard with the names of God. We went out with our habit everywhere. No one was looked at them as a strange thing. So we were going from home to Tehran in the car. We had a discussion. Something you cannot expect anything to come out of it, maybe, but these moments are very important. So in the car, we were talking what would be the next step. This is 2002. And we said, okay, so let us organize something, a kind of dialogue between our communities, Catholic and Shia. So Abba suggested to go to Ampleforth. And I said, I love, Ampleforth. I've been going there many times, but not many people from Shia community live in that area in North Yorkshire. So we decided to have a conference that part of it would be in London, part of it would be in Ampleforth. I had no training on interfaith, and I think Abbot Timothy had no training. Just with our unity, we try to do what is right. So they said we go back to UK and find who can be our partner in London. And then they approached Heathrow College. You may know Heathrow College. Unfortunately, it's closed down now, but it was very successful college. It was run by Jesuits, Heathrow College. So we had one-day program in London, and then we went to Ampleforth. So in July 2003, we had the first Catholic Shia dialogue in the UK, but with people coming from other countries as well. Later, Tablet wrote that this was the first major British encounter of the Catholic theologians with the Iranian thinkers and theologians. It went very well. And we decided to keep this happening every other year and also publish books. So 2004, 4 Christians visited us. This time we have 2 monks and 2 people from Heathrow College. One a layperson and one a Jesuit. We published also the first volume. Then 2005 we had the second round, 2007 the third round, but this time was in the Worth Abbey. Worth Abbey is near Gatwick. It's a famous abbey in the UK. And then we had the gap because Abbot Timothy had moved to Italy. So I had taken a group of PhD students from home, and I met him in Italy. It's San Beda College. You know San Beda College for the English speakers in Rome. And we tried to revive it. So we had the 4th round in Assisi, the 5th round in Como, and then the 6th in again in Italy, and then 7th in Como. 8th was when we came here. 2017. 9th was in UK, and now, God willing, in September, the 10th will be in France. We have published so far 6 volumes. Abbot Timothy and I received an award from Iran's president a few years ago before he passed away, because soon after that, because he had a cancer and he was, even when he came here, was ill. But thanks to God, before he passed away, he saw the acknowledgement. We have started a very good project with University of Sofia. University of Sofia belongs to Focolare movement, is in Lopiano, and one of the top Catholic theologians, Professor Piero Coda, was the founding president. So I remember there are lots of the stories, I cannot tell you all these stories. It takes a long time, although they are very useful, but I just say bits and pieces. We had a very good program when, for the second time, my wife and I took some ladies from seminary to Lopiano. For 4 weeks, we asked our Focolare friends to organize for them 4-week program, a small formation, so that they can see what Christians do for their formation. And it was very good. In that trip, I was invited to go and teach in Sofia for a program on interfaith. They offered, MA, special MA program, and they wanted people to come and teach about interreligious dialogue from their tradition. When I went to give these lectures, I had a meeting with Professor Piero Coda. We met each other before. I told him this, and this is, for those who listened to me yesterday, many of you were there, this is something that is missing from yesterday talk, because it's very important, and I didn't have time to mention. And it helps me for the next part of the lecture. I said to Piero, we know each other for many, many years, and we are working for unity. I know you are working for unity, and I think I am also working for unity. But I have this feeling that we are stuck
we don't see, any, considerable progress. It seems there is a blockage here. On the other hand, I believe if we really struggle, God is going to guide us. Quran says, "Alladina jahadu fina lanahdiyannahum subulana." Those who struggle in our way will certainly guide them. So, if we are not receiving more guidance for future and we are stuck, in my understanding, it's because we haven't struggled enough. God always guides, but you should ask for guidance. Yeah, you cannot say, He should give me anyway. Yes, there are some levels of guidance that He gives to everyone, but there are some levels that you have to ask for. So, if we really show to God that we are searching for truth and for guidance and for understanding what He wants us to do for unity, He will guide us. But it's very important, very, I think, crucial. I said, I cannot honestly say to God that I did my best for understanding your plan if I only read Muslim texts and discuss with Muslims. And you also cannot say to God, you did your best if you only read Christian texts and only discuss with Christians. We have to look for guidance everywhere. We have to benefit from every wisdom available. We have to benefit from all the messages of God. So that we can say, we tried every possible way of understanding your will. So I suggested to him, let us get together every few months and we discuss. But we don't discuss as a Muslim and a Christian, or a group of Muslims, a group of Christians, one sitting on one side of the desk and table, others on the other side having respectful dialogue. No, we have passed that stage. We have, alhamdulillah, had more than 20 years of experiencing that. It's not dialogue between us and you. No. We get together, we share our thoughts, we ask God for guidance, then we both try to listen to God. Not listening to each other. We both try to listen to God, but with 2 ears. We listen to God with a Muslim ear and a Christian ear. Sometimes God speaks to both ears, sometimes maybe He has spoken to one ear. Sometimes a Muslim saint or a Christian saint may have received inspiration. Sometimes maybe the same inspiration has come to Muslims and Christians. We don't know, and it doesn't matter. Honestly, does it matter whether something comes from a Christian mouth or a Muslim mouth, as long as it comes from God? Does it matter? I think theoretically it shouldn't matter, but I think in practice it's very difficult. If something comes from God, for me, it must come from a Muslim mouth or from a Christian mouth. Otherwise, I cannot accept it. This is wrong. You are limiting your encounter with God. God can speak to you through any platform. Even a child can sometimes say something. Even your enemies can sometimes tell you what God wants. So why you cannot free yourself from ego and say, I want to listen to God. God, you decide. We as believers sit together, we We share our understanding, but we know we are very limited in our understanding. We need your guidance. You choose. You want to help me to share with my brothers. You want to help them, and they share with me. It doesn't matter. You know, you have experience of dialogue. What do you do normally in dialogue? For example, you are supposed to have a presentation. By the way, how much time I have for this session?
Maybe the next 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Yes, great. That's good. For example, for dialogue, okay? So you are Christian, you are Muslims, you have dialogue on the topic. For example, on the topic of suffering. When you are a Christian and a Christian speaks, and a Muslim speaks, what do you do in your heart? Many times, I'm not saying always, but I'm sure many times, each side prays to God. God helps us to show how great we are in our faith, in our tradition, how great are our resources. Let us share with them so that they can see what you have done for us. But this is not the sign of maturity. If this dialogue is for the sake of God, you should pray for both parties. God, please help us and help them to do great today and bring the best that they have in tradition so that we can share your gifts and can be grateful. If you as a Muslim or Christian are only grateful to the blessings of God to your community, you are not grateful enough. I should be grateful to God for all the great things that have happened in Christianity. And Christians should be also grateful to God for every great thing that has happened in Muslim community. When I pass by a church or a mosque, what should be my feeling? When I pass by my own place of worship, I get happy. When I pass by the other one, I don't feel anything or I feel bad. Is this what a person, a man or woman of God feels? Or your feeling is that I am passing by a place where God is remembered. God is worshipped. If people don't go to these places of worship, what do they do? It's not that if they don't go to that place, they come to my place. For many people, this is the only way to connect to God. If they don't go to that place, then it means that they are declining in their faith. I should not be happy if a Christian is not going to the church. I feel terrible if Christians don't go to the church. And I think good Christians also feel the same. If they say Muslims, for example, youths are losing their faith, they shouldn't feel happy. They should feel sad. So, our project, Wings of Unity, is to get together with honesty, with sincerity, with humility, share our ideas, but then go to silence mode and listen to God. Unfortunately, we many times don't let God speak because we have received so many things that we want to repeat them to God. Yes, these things that we have received are very important, but let us sometimes go to silence and just let God speak. Maybe God has something new to tell us. Maybe God has something to inspire us. Maybe we didn't understand something that is now causing problem for us. Why we cannot let God correct us? And when we are together, the chance of receiving help is more. Because when we have the best of each tradition, in their knowledge, in their expertise, but also in their devotion, sitting together and praying to God and asking for guidance, this is bringing blessings of God more easily. So we decided to embark on this project, and Piero accepted. And later he said many times that he felt this is, a kind of suggestion that he should accept. He said some words that I don't want to say it because you have to hear from him. So he said, what should we call this? I had not thought about name because I didn't know if he's going to accept it or not. And just a little bit silence, and I said, wings of unity. And he welcomed, because unity needs two wings, like a bird. Muslims alone cannot establish unity. Christians alone cannot establish unity. No tradition alone can establish universal fraternity. We need to work together. And then we decided to have these rounds. So far we had 9 rounds of Wings of Unity. The last time was in May. And the theme of the first round was Unity of God and Unity in God, which we keep referring to that. And also with Tangaza, we are working under the same theme of Unity of God and Unity in God. And thanks to God, we have a book of the first 3 lectures that I gave about this topic of Unity of God and Unity of God in Sophia, which is recently also translated to Italian. So this is a little bit of background with some reflections, and God willing, after break, we now share some more theological ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shomali, for this introduction, beginning with your own personal journey. And as you were sharing, I remembered Pope VI, when his document Evangelii Nuntiandi, 1975, he says, modern man listen more to witnesses than to teachers. And if he listens to teachers, it's because they are witnesses. And that's powerful. When you begin from your own personal experience, your personal journey, it's much more appealing and convincing. And this is the journey we are also embarked on. And maybe some years later, we'll look back again and say, this is where we came from, with Tangaza University College. And yesterday we were just talking in the car, and he did not want to say that the program is unique, even that's what you had on your lips. But I said that I was with the Dean of Theology of the Faculty of Theology at St. Paul's University and in Ottawa, and said this program is unique. And this morning you were talking about your meeting with the Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury, and said, can we start something similar, which you don't find in universities? And I also replied that last week, I was with the Anglican Archbishop on the same table, and he said, I would like to come and visit Tangaza and see what you are doing. This is just the first step. We are sowing a seeds of unity, and we need both wings to move together. So to our viewers who are online, we are going to break for half an hour, and then we'll come now and continue with the talk by Dr. Shomali. So we'll come back after in half an hour.
Hiyo time. Unaona? Hebu chungulia kwa simu yako vile. Chungulia kwa simu.
Uneke simu.
Acha ni mute bado.
I came here. He very warmly welcomed me. I can say he was very, very loyal to prayer. And always, whenever we had a meeting, very important part of planning was that it should be an atmosphere of prayer. And he was thinking that this is great attribution of monastic life to our style. I pray to God that the dreams that he had for this dialogue, the dream for unity around God and prayer for God will be established. And I hope whatever he achieved would remain, and whatever he was going to finish, God will finish for him. We also pray for community here that will be able to continue with ease, with clarity and wisdom, the work that has been done by him and others we got here. Thank you.
Who's ready to have some cool tech? Click here to make your very own model.
I hope it gave you a taste of these random dialogue in the past. In the name of God, the compassionate, merciful. So now I want to share with you some theological reflections. You know, every theology has to be original, has to be loyal to our scriptures, and at the same time has to be capable of explaining our experiences. Because we know that our scriptures are able to explain everything. So if we have developed our history based on our own limited experiences, a theology that is very tight, very narrow, very rigid, very fixed,
therefore is not young and vibrant and able to grow and explain new things, then that theology needs revisit. So, one of the things that I have been always trying to do is not to do anything which I think would conflict with my faith. So, for interreligious dialogue, I didn't need to compromise about my faith. Actually, I did it as a sign of my faith. Because there is no point in canceling or suspending your faith in order to do interreligious dialogue. So I try to always make sure that everything from the small details of halal diet, from prayer up to deep theological questions are matching my tradition, my understanding of tradition, and the people that I follow their scholarship. But on the other hand, to be also open for new openings, for new windows, for new horizons. We need new breeze, new winds to come to our theology. And we need to grow in our theology. So both theology and spirituality, hand in hand, should go. As I said in the beginning, heart and mind should work together. If it is just mind, is not enough. If it's just heart, is not enough. Heart and mind should work together. So, before planning, we try to plan with our understanding of faith. But also, we had to always reflect. One of our problems is that, unfortunately, we don't take things seriously. So many times when we read a book or listen to a lecture or have a conversation, we don't really take them seriously. We only give them a superficial level of attention, not knowing that sometimes one sentence can change. Sometimes one idea can bring lots of blessings. So, as a believer, we should always have open eyes and open ears to see if there is any message for us. Even you have to reflect on your own behavior. Maybe you learn something either positive to cherry or negative to correct. But always be mindful and reflective. So I try to keep thinking, sharing with people who can, say that maybe you misunderstood. Writing, documenting, so that by the passage of time, we can better understand. Also, we can engage some other people so that they can also comment and they can also benefit. So now I share a few points. One of the things that it became more and more clear for me is something that I didn't have in my mind so clear at the beginning, although the roots are there. And that is the central position of God, and in particular, the unity of God. We Muslims, we say one of the principles of our religion is Tawheed, monotheism, unity of God. And we as the Shia Muslims, we have 5 principles for our denomination. Those 3 plus 2 more. This is one is divine justice and the other one is MMA. But all Muslims say unity of God is a principle. Okay, I knew this. And this is what every Muslim knows. But to understand the significance of unity of God, the significance of Tawheed, is something that needs not even life of one person. This needs centuries and lives of many human beings so that we can really understand the centrality of God and unity of God. Many times we believe in unity of God, but we don't act or behave as someone who believes in one God. For example, in ethics, if someone is jealous, if someone is selfish, do you think jealousy and selfishness can match someone's faith in one God who is the source of all good things? How can I believe in one God who is absolutely wise, absolutely beautiful, absolutely merciful, and then I become jealous or selfish? It's not possible. But many times we see believers in God, they suffer from these problems. Why? Because this has remained just in their mind. It has not gone to their hearts. One of our great contemporary scholars, Allama Tabatabai, a great philosopher and exegete of the Quran and jurist, he says, the Quran offers us an approach to morality which is not based on outcomes, although that is a good approach. It's not based on deities, although that's a good approach. But it's based on unity of God, on Tawheed. If you become a man of God like Abraham, then you would not suffer from moral deficiencies. It's impossible to be connected to God the One, and then you exhibit satanic action or qualities. We read in the history that Prophet Muhammad in Mecca, a society which had lots of problems. You know, Muslim historians, they call the era before Islam the age of ignorance, Asrul Jahiliyyah. Not ignorance in the sense of just having no education, being illiterate. More than that, ignorance in the sense of also not acting rationally, having lots of superstitious ideas. So that society was filled with lots of problems, injustice, brutality, etc. Even you know that they used to bury their daughters alive. They didn't want to have daughters because of some experience that in the past that some other tribes, you know, attacked them and they took their women. So they were against having daughters. The way they treated women, the issue of slavery, all were there. And the Prophet was addressing all these issues. But something which is well known that the Prophet was saying was, قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُ. Say, means say wholeheartedly, there is no God but one God, and then you will have felicity and happiness. What does it mean? It means that roots of all these problems, from slavery, from discrimination, from injustice, from ignorance, root of all is that we have gone away from one God. Worshipping idols is not just worshipping idols. Worshipping idols means to let all the problems appear in your heart. It's not something which is limited to the temple. You worship idols, finish, you come. No, if you worship idols, then you become jealous, you become selfish, you become ignorant. So he was saying, if you say wholeheartedly, La ilaha illallah, you have salvation. We have a story that our 8th Imam, the 8th Imam of Shia Muslims, who is buried in Mashhad. He has a shrine in Mashhad, and in the picture you saw that in one of our dialogue we went to Mashhad. On the way to Khurasan, he stopped in the city of Nishabur. And the people of Nishabur were mostly non-Shia, and he's Imam of the Shia, but he's a progeny of the Prophet. He's known for his knowledge and piety. So people were very happy that a progeny of the Prophet with that caliber is passing their city. Thousands of people gathered around him and asked him to share a saying of the Prophet, a hadith. Now imagine if you are in such position that people want to hear a hadith from you, and these people belong to another school of thought, another school of Islam. What should you say? Some people may say, okay, I say something about our distinctive feature, for example. But Imam said, I heard from my father, and my father from my grandfather up to the Prophet, and Prophet from Gabriel, and Gabriel from God. Kalimatu la ilaha illallah hisni, wa man dakhala hisni amina Allah. The word of unity of God is my fortress. According to this, God said, unity of God is a word, is a reality, which is my fortress. And whoever enters my fortress is saved from my punishment. And then he moved on, and then he stopped again, and he said, Bishartaha wa shurutaha. Of course, there are conditions for that. Finding the right leadership is one condition of that. How to treat yourself, with your husband, wife, children, neighbors, etc. All are there, but under one God. So it became clear for me later that when we say we have 3 principles or 5 principles, it's not that they are equally important. The most fundamental one is monotheism, and the rest come under it. The Quran says all the nations have been sent messengers. You might be familiar that according to Islamic understanding, God has sent 124,000 prophets. Prophet in an Islamic sense is different from someone who has just, prophecy. Prophet means someone who is appointed by God, someone who receives revelation. So there were 124,000 prophets. Out of them, there were 313 messengers. So prophets are called Nabi, messengers are called Rasul. And the difference is that these messengers received message from God, but the rest of the prophets, they communicated and preached the message which was given to a messenger. Okay? For example, there were many prophets among the Israelites, Bani Israel, but many of them preached the message which was given to Moses. They didn't have their own book, their own message. So the Quran says, لَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا. We have sent to all nations at least a messenger. أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. But the core message was the same. To serve God and avoid the devil. This is the core message of all the messengers. Or, as I said yesterday, the Quran says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَإِلَى اللَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ وَاتَّبَعَ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Who is better in religion than someone who has submitted their face to God and does good things and follows the path of Abraham, and God chose Abraham as his friend. So you see, the core message is the same. And this is very natural because God is shared. We have one God. Humanity in us is the same. Yeah? We can be coming from different parts of the world. We can belong to different races. But we are all equally human. We all share the same God-given nature. So same God, same humanity needs what? Needs same message. Details can be different, as we are also in details different. But the core message is the same. God has never sent 2 or 3 or more messages which are different in core. All the prophets, all the messengers delivered the same message, and that is all human beings, go back to God. Submit yourself to God. Of course, how to submit, maybe in the course of history, there were different requirements. Messengers spoke different languages. Someone spoke Arabic, someone spoke maybe Aramaic, someone spoke maybe Hebrew, someone maybe spoke another languages. But language doesn't determine the nature of the message. Someone was maybe Arab, someone was Middle Eastern, someone maybe was different because God says He has sent to all nations, but their ethnicity doesn't change the message. The core is language doesn't determine the nature of the message.
This is a common problem that we have.
Someone was maybe Arab, someone was Middle Eastern, someone maybe was different because God says He has sent to all nations, but their ethnicity doesn't change the message.
And articulated our religion, which is something necessary. We need to articulate. We need to educate people without having common problem kind of organized, developed, well-written theology. We cannot educate people. Little by little, it's very good. But then little by little, we gave more importance to these propositions than the spirit of religion. These propositions are very important, but someone can master them and teach them and have no sign of faith in their heart. But then little by little, we gave more importance to these propositions. These propositions are to be genuinely expressed. But sometimes we learn just to express without having the someone can master them. Like imagine, if we have apple tree. This apple tree should bear apples. But sometimes this tree is not working. We buy apples from market and put on the branches. All the fruits are there. Genuinely expressed. I think as a Muslim, for example, if I pray, I fast, I go to the mosque, I have beards, I have, a special dress. All the signs of faith are there, so I can faith. No. These are just expressions that you have learned how to borrow them from faithful people. Like, for example, when someone says, I want to go to a hospital, how can I remove my doctor? I have, greens or wine. All the signs of faith are there, so I can faith. Why do you buy the doctor? It's not as easy as this. Expressions that you have learned how to follow. The reality of faith. Like, for example, I want to go to is to turn your faith to God, to surrender to God, to plan your life according to the will of God. It's not as easy as this. In family, in business, in work, in everything, observe the will of God. This is the reality of faith. Then you as a Catholic, as a Protestant, as a Sunni, as a Shia, you may have different ways, different rituals, different rites to express this, to nourish this, even to strengthen this. But the reality must be there. If the reality is not there, and we are just satisfied with this thing.
Hey, that hurt. That hurt. That hurt. You hit me way too. You gotta soften it up.
So one of the things that became more clear for me in my reflection along with these experiences is that a way that we normally classify people has to be revisited. Normally what we do is we say, the closest people to me are people of my own community. Yeah, for example, if I'm a Shia, the closest people are the Shia. Then the next people are Muslims. Then the next are Christians. Because they believe in God of Abraham. Then people who believe in God but maybe not in an Abrahamic way. Then people who have goodwill. Okay, so the circles become wider and wider, and this is based on what we share. What is only based on doctrines, on rituals. I say this is correct, but it's not adequate. It's not complete. Okay, so the circles become wider. My understanding based on the Quran is that the closest people to you, if you are a God-centered person, is another God-centered person. Maybe there is a Sunni who is more closer to me than a Shia. Maybe a Christian is more closer to me than a Muslim. Because names don't decide and define reality. And this is true, because I have some Shia, even in my family, that maybe I cannot even have 1 hour of fruitful, time together. We cannot pray together. We cannot talk about God together. Maybe they are not very interested. But then I can find a Christian that I can live with them for years, not for hours, and feel very happy. The same, maybe some Christians, they find some Christians very unacceptable. They don't see any sign of God in them, but they can see this in a person from another faith. So, who is closer to you? This is my question. Please think about this question. Who is closer to you? If you say the one who shares with me more doctrines, this is not good. Who is closer to you? The one who is closer to God. If you are a God-centered person. If you are not a God-centered person, the one who is closer to me is the one who shares the same skin color, the same ethnicity, the same language, the same faith. These are closer to me. But if you are a servant of God, the one who is closer to your master is closer to you. So I have now to see who are closer to my Lord, not who are closer to me. And what do you want to do with them? If someone is close to God, if someone has devoted himself or herself to God, what do you want to do? You want to serve them. If you are a true servant of God, you want to serve anyone who is going to Him. Sometimes I use this example. I say, suppose a person that you love, for example, Prophet Muhammad or Jesus has come. Suppose we are here in a place and we have opportunity to visit them. Okay? What do? You are the first person who knows that Jesus or Prophet Muhammad, they are in this place. What do? Some of us don't say to anyone anything. And say, let me have private time. Some of us say, I only inform my family and my close friends. We don't tell people, because if we tell people, they go and they're divided opportunity. Some people, if they are very faithful, they say, I only inform my faith community, not my family, but my faith community.
Maybe if we have enough time with him, maybe then we allow other people also to go. But if you are a servant of God, if you are a true lover of God, you would say, I should try to facilitate for people to see this godly figure, to see Jesus or to see Prophet Muhammad. And I want to make sure that I serve them. I can stand next to the gates and help people come and go. And I can sit next to him. Which one is better? For a selfish person, it's better to sit next to him. For a servant, said, where do you want to be? You want to be here close to me? You want to be next to the door? It is your will. And I am sure you in your heart would accept that the people who come and sit close to you are not closer to you necessarily. The people who may go far to bring people, to invite people towards you, and maybe they don't have the chance of relaxing and enjoying looking at you, they are closer to you. So, if God is center of our life, whoever is closer to God should be closer to him. There's a beautiful story. Of course, every story has different sides. I quoted for this particular aspect. Someone wanted to get a servant. Ask different people who were happy to be servants. One servant was very strange. He said, what's your name? He said, whatever you call it. What do you eat? Because he wanted to see if he's eating too much or expensive things, he wouldn't take it. He said, whatever you feed me. I am your servant. If you want to give me something, energetic, not energetic, whatever, it's up to you. How much do you esteem? As long as you alone. Then he said, no matter what's the charge, I take this one. Because this person has no personal wish. Of course, among human beings, we don't have such relations. But with respect to God, yes. God is the only one that wholeheartedly we should dedicate ourselves to him. So, if we manage to work on our humility, on our sincerity, and sincerity not in a simple sense, in the sense that really you just want whatever God wants, then you would be in the best position for working for unity, for dialogue, for bringing people closer. But if you are satisfied with just passing, some tests and putting some, check marks. Okay, these, things from catechism or from Muslim creed, I know all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, you got 100%. If you are satisfied with this may work in dunya, in this world, but this doesn't work in the hereafter. You don't go to heaven based on the answers you give by memorization. You go to heaven based on the answer you have given through your life examples. How much of my life shows catechism or Muslim creed? Otherwise, we can, employ someone and say, we give you this much money, memorize this book. Or, we put it on computer, any one time I can, find it. Creator is only God. And if you don't accept God as the authority, you are depriving yourself. You are not able to register in the school of God if you think someone else is authority. If instead of God we worship our prophets or our religions, then it's a problem. We should only worship one God. Okay, I like to hear more about your thoughts, so I think I stop here. I don't know how much time we have. I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have experienced during these years. And I'm very thankful to God that God has given all of us, people who are here, love for Himself. God has made faith available and very precious for us. We are thankful. And if God asks God, please complete this blessing by growing our faith, by growing our love for you, and by connecting our hearts so that with a united heart we can better show our love for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. My question is on the cross frontiers, like Afghanistan. So, like you, as a professor, how you want to do your mission work? We just hear from the person side. So, I don't know what is your mind for you for the outreach to such an environment. Thank you.
So one of the areas that this unity can help us is to work together in charitable projects. So we Muslims and Christians can work together, share our experiences, our resources, and do something for the sake of God and in the name of God, not in the name of Islam or in the name of Christianity, just in the name of God. And I think there will be much more power and blessing when we do something together with unity and in the name of God. No one then can say, oh, these people want to, convert people, for example, or, they want to bring people to their own sect. No, I don't want to do anything like this. I just want, as a servant of God, to show love of people to these people. Yeah, love of God has to be channeled. We should be the channel. But we can't be a narrow channel, we can't be a wider channel. When we are together, we are wider. And this is, I think, very good way that we can improve our relation by getting into some concrete projects on the ground. Yes.
Thank you very much. The closeness, this regard of the affiliation of faith, let me need to understand Mama's idea that our God salvage a nation that we see as unbelieving, will salvage it for its injustice, but will destroy a nation that is Muslim, a Muslim for its injustice. This shows me the elements, the principle of justice as central in God's consideration of who receives salvation. That's an understanding. However, there's a point that perhaps with your input will help me investigate and you will inform us. I'm still part of in Islamic history. I'm still living of Najash. When he died, one story, when he died, the prophet performed a distant salat, a distant full of prayer, the judge. I'm still inquiring those who now buried him. What was it today? Those who buried him, what rituals did they perform on his body? Because those buried were Christians. The same man receiving a Muslim ritual in Medina, led by Prophet Muhammad. The same man being, this is what I suspect, being receiving Christian rituals because he was good. I want to investigate to see how he was buried far away in Ethiopia. Thank you.
The first question, you refer to the hadith that is quoted from Prophet a kingdom can continue despite having no faith, but cannot continue with injustice. Means if people observe justice, they may continue to rule, because God is not going to punish in this world, a just ruler and take away his power. God wants justice. But if there are faithful people who are unjust, God is against them. The whole system of this world is against unjust people. They cannot continue. With injustice, you cannot continue. This is in line with what I have said. You can be faithful and unjust. What type of faith is this? It's just lip service to the faith. How can you be faithful and unjust? And if someone is just but not faithful, this person is deep in his heart connected to God, but he needs to flourish, to let this flourish. A just person is very close to faith. Sooner or later, he will come to the faith. But an unjust person is not close to the faith, even if every day goes to the mosque or the church. He's very far from God, who is doing injustice to people. So this is why I say reality of faith is important. And this is what only God can understand. We can sometimes see the signs, but we should not judge about people say, no, this person is very pious, this person is vicious. Yes, sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes we make mistakes. We leave it to God. God decides. We follow the general rules, general standards in how to behave, how to react. But we shouldn't decide who is going to hell, who is going to heaven.
Excuse me, we haven't met, so my name is Junior Advisor David. So just a reminder for the group that we would like to wrap up soon so that we can go into the lunch break until 1:30. That would be great. Thank you very much.
So our next, we go now from here.
Yes, the plan is to go to the lunch to finish the lecture now. So we will go into the lunch break, and for those who want to go into the prayer room, are more than welcome to do so. And then at 1:30 we meet again to here for a final reflection of the summer school, and then we will have the cake ceremony to just celebrate the end of the summer school.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much to all of you, and
Thank you very much. Very important. Yeah, no.